Are you ready to meet Jason Isaacs and Ralph Fiennes? Liverpool, this is Monopoly Events. Are we ready to meet the cast of Harry Potter? Please welcome to the stage, first of all, Jason Isaacs. Liverpool, please give a round of applause. Liverpudlian welcome to Ralph Fiennes. Let's hear it for Liverpool. Ladies
Very,
and
very
gentlemen,
far away from us now. There's a
I
long
know.
sofa to sit on here. I feel we could fit half of these people on the couch.
We've been calling it the Liverpool Lounge today.
Nice.
Yes. Well, thank you for being here. Don't they look fabulous, everybody?
We haven't aged a day since 25 years ago when we made these films.
Well, first question for you. What is it like to be reunited here in Liverpool together? When's the last time you saw each other?
A long time. Well, we saw each other last night in the hotel. But do you remember the first time I met you? I don't know, it's a terrible question. I remember the first time I met you.
When was that?
They discovered the remnants of Shakespeare's first theatre, the Rose Theatre.
Oh, yeah.
We went down, we were either still students or were baby actors or something. And I went down there, and Ian McKellen was there. He wasn't Sir yet, it was Ian there. And Simon Evans, the MP. And Ray was there, and someone knew who you were. I'm not sure we'd started acting. Someone I think had shagged you or something like that. Someone I knew you well, or maybe it had a thing with
I
you.
was
And
very
then
innocent then.
Ray was there, and I said,
I was acting.
But you had I knew your name somehow, and I went, where is that? And they went down there, and I thought, God, he's pretty, isn't he? That's what I think.
But it was quite an interesting, it was that they found the remains of one of the old Elizabethan theatres, the Rose Theatre, where Shakespeare's early plays had been performed, and there was a big call out in the theatre community because the contractors were going to build a big office block on top of it. So there was a big movement to save it, which we did.
And we did. We protested and we stuck there until they decided they weren't going to do it, and they built around it or something. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, you just mentioned Shakespeare, so I have to have a question for Mr. Fiennes. Your directorial debut, Shakespeare's Coriolanus, amazing film. Yes, of course. Can you tell us what it was like to step behind the camera in that way?
Yeah, it was scary, of course, but I actually had a conversation with Mel Gibson, of all people, who offered to.
Sorry, you just dropped a name.
I drop it. I'm not ashamed of dropping it. He was very sweet.
He is?
He's, as you know, a great actor-director, and he said, the thing is, you'll be nervous because it will be your first time behind the camera, and I don't know if you've seen the film, there's a battle sequence in it, and that was the very first few days of filming, was this huge battle sequence, which is difficult and complicated. But he did say, you will know more than you think you know, because you've been on film sets, and that's true. I tell you what was the big learning curve was editing.
Right.
Was seeing all the footage and having to decide with an editor what to use. That was the big eye-opener.
I worked with Mel, who's always trying to encourage me to direct when we did The Patriot, and he said to me, the thing that he found out with me, so the thing I found out is acting's really easy. I'd be setting these things, doing all the complicated stuff, and they'd go, Mel, you're in the scene. They'd go, oh shit, sorry. And they'd get in front of the camera, and when he used to agonize about scenes, he went, I didn't even think about it, and I realized I could do it just as well without thinking about it.
Huge fan of The Patriot. I just said this to him backstage. I've met you at a couple Comic-Cons, and I've never had the chance to talk about The Patriot. But something I want to mention as well, Comic-Con has so many different genres, Harry Potter, Star Wars, but you've joined the Star Trek family. What has it been like to be part of that universe?
Well, oh, hello, you're all right. So I'm from Liverpool. I grew up in Liverpool, in Chilwell. And we're four boys in the house. Very rambunctious. We used to fight a lot, and we used to fight particularly about what to watch on telly, even though there were only 3 channels. But we never fought when Star Trek was on telly. My mum and my dad, it's a very working class family. All we did was ever watch television. That's all we did. And we sat in a room and we would sit glued to Star Trek. And I think I learnt what it was to be a man from Captain Kirk, or mixed with Captain Kirk and Spock, and to then be in charge of my own spaceship, saying warp speed or energizer stuff, was ridiculously exciting. It was so fantastic. I was glad to only do 1 season. I wouldn't want to really be. It looks like they travel the galaxy. They don't. They stay in the same big green box all the time in Toronto. But it was a magical time. Yeah. It was wonderful.
incredible series. We love it so much. But we're all here for a common love of Harry Potter, of course. And I have to ask the both of you, as villainous characters as you are, what was it like to read the characters, Lucius and He Who Shall Not Be Named? What was it like to read about them and then bring them to life on screen? How did you approach the characters in that way?
All right, well, so I didn't audition to play Lucius Malfoy. I auditioned to play Gilderoy Lockhart. So, so I was very pissed off to be offered Lucius Malfoy. And I read for it, because he asked me when I was auditioning for Gilderoy Lockhart, Chris Columbus, who was a lovely man, said, would you mind reading a different part? And I thought, they want me to play 2 parts. I was so thrilled. And then I realized, and so I read very bitterly, and kind of seething with resentment. I think that's why I got the job. And then I thought, oh Christ, Alan Rickman is already in the film playing Snape, and he's so sinister and so terrifying, Alan, even in the dressing room. Like, what am I going to do? And so I wanted as much help as I possibly could. So I came up with the wig, I came up with the cane, I came up with the most excruciating voice thing, and they wanted me in ordinary suits, and I wanted capes. Basically, I wanted a parrot on my shoulder and a limp and a stutter. Anything I could do to try and be something scary. And then I realized, he's not scary, Lucius, he's pathetic, he's impotent. The reason his son is such a horrible little shit, sorry, cover your children, at school is because he's so badly bullied at home by such a loveless father. And once I realized I didn't have to play anything powerful, I could play a cowardly bully. I knew, he's just a racist, let's face it. It's not very complicated what he is. You look very far to find there's race riots in England, people who think the world was better when people like them were in charge. He's a rich white supremacist, and once I realized he was a cowardly bully, it's much easier to play. I didn't have to play evil, I had to play a coward. You had a very different task, I think.
Yeah, I have to confess, I wasn't familiar with the Harry Potter books. And I was approached by a wonderful casting director who was casting all the early Potter films, a lady called Mary Selway. And she said, you have to play this part. And I said, I don't know. I'm not sure. What is it? What is this Voldemort person? And I don't think it's for me. I tell my sister, who has children, I said, they asked me this Voldemort person. She said, what? They've offered you Voldemort? I said, you have to do it. You must do it. And so I reworked my thinking. And then they showed me some pictures, the imagery of how they would do the makeup, and it looked fantastic. And then quite quickly I was in. So forgive me, I didn't initially go yes, because I just was in ignorance I hadn't seen the films, but then I realized what a fantastic part it was and how it unfolded. And of course I read the books, and I obviously focused on the information J.K. Rowling gives about the character, but there was a lot of input from the producers. There definitely was a sense that she wanted her characters realized pretty close to what she had imagined. So there was a sort of collective sense that we must honor what was written. And I particularly loved, I worked with Mike Newell, he did the first film that
You're in.
Yeah, and then I love working with David Yates, who finished the series of films, particularly because David really worked you, even in I found the smallest moments, even you thought it was a sort of moment, he would go, no, you can go a bit deeper.
He's a real actor's director,
Yeah,
although he does all the spectacle.
Yeah.
He's a real actor's director. He's done a whole bunch of BAFTA-winning miniseries and stuff before.
He really focused, so I thought, and it was a wonderful, the producers really took care of the production, you really felt they cared. They weren't just riding the wave of a big success. I felt that I thought the work of the art department, the makeup department, was all beautiful work from every department.
Well, I think we were all fans. I mean, the thing is, while we were making the films, the books were coming out at midnight, there were giant crowds everywhere, but we were all fans. I mean, everybody felt like something special was going on. It's funny because I hear the word franchise all the time. For me, franchise are hamburgers and coffees. They're not what we did. It wasn't, let's keep milking it, Fast and Furious 50, 59. It was, these 7 books, and they were a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we wanted to tell them properly. And I think by the time they got halfway through, they knew that enough people were watching around the world. They went, let's make them perfect, as best we can. And you could feel it.
I mean, the cast is just incredible with so many British legends and iconic actors, but then you have the youngsters.
Well, it's just us 2 here. Let's not talk about the others.
But you've got the youngsters, one of which is actually here. Rupert Grint is here today. I'm sure you all got to meet Rupert. But what is it like to watch these kids grow up and get the much-deserved success that they're experiencing now? What is it like to see them now as adults, navigating their careers?
Well, I'm still very friendly with Tom, so I see Tom and I speak to him, and it's been glorious. You know, I don't know if you have, Ray, but I've worked with quite a few young American stars, you know, when they're kids, and it doesn't work out great a lot of the time. You know, they're kids, they earn the money that pays for their mother and father and sister and aunt and uncle. The normal family pyramid is inverted, and it screws them up often. Not these kids. They grew up behind closed doors. They spent all their teen years inside the family of Harry Potter and all the thousands of people who worked there who treated them normally, and they all emerged as pretty fabulous adults, to be honest with you. You know, nobody went off the rails. They all had their kind of wild times, but behind closed doors. You didn't see them, we did. And they're pretty great. I've seen Emma. Emma does remarkable advocacy with her platform. Dan does continually interesting work, and Tom, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of TikTok, but Tom basically owns TikTok. He is like, there's a Draco talk and stuff. He's marshaled the forces of the internet to do some good and do his music, and I don't know, they're all pretty great compared to some of the American kids I know who've gone off the rails. Yeah.
Well, I could fangirl all day long, and believe me, I really could, but let's do this as Monopoly Events intends. For the fans, by the fans, let's go to you now and make this an interactive Q&A. We have a microphone right over here on the right, number 1. Hi there.
Hi, my question is for the both of you. What's the most challenging scene you've had to film in Harry Potter or your career?
Oh, or our career. Jeez. You want to go first?
Well, I remember that my face-off with Alan Rickman was wonderfully challenging. I could feel Alan wanted a kind of actor's duel. But I loved him to bits as an actor and as a man. And it was challenging in the best way, is because I think we both wanted to get as much juice out of the scene and the energy between us. So it's lovely when you work with an actor and you both know you both have a lot of good stuff to share with each other and to, in the best sense, challenge each other if you are indeed oppositional in the scene, as we were. So I remember that scene, when you ask that question, that scene comes to mind as a kind of beautiful challenge. To come up to him, to match him, to be connected with Alan.
So I hated doing all my scenes with Rafe because he scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you. And because Lucias was such, because Voldemort saw through Lucias right from the beginning. This is the first second we met in the graveyard. He saw that he was all about vanity and narcissism and status. And saw him for what he was, and Lucius knew he was seen for what he was. I felt like he looked right through me. And then there was a scene at the end at my house, of course, where I'd come out of prison. I think maybe I'd clawed my way back into some reasonable status, and he snapped my wand at the table, which to me felt like public castration. You know? And he was awful to me, awful, but fabulous because he's such a wonderful actor. You know, very friendly off camera. As soon as the camera rolls, you know, you're drilled. The other thing I remember that was challenging was the final scene in the courtyard where everybody's there. We were there for a long time. It rained actually, so we couldn't shoot on lots of days. We came to work a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember, you don't know this, but me and Helena and Helen, the late great Helen McCoy, standing there going, "Oh Christ, how many days are we going to watch Rafe do his monologue for?" Rafe was being fabulous as Voldemort, going back and forth. We were like, "Oh my God!" And I remember thinking, God, I've got like 2 weeks of this, I've got 3 lines. And then I look over and there's Maggie, you know, Oscar, no lines. Julie Walters, Oscar, no lines. Jim Broadbent, Oscar, no lines. Emma Thompson, I thought, at least I've got 3 lines coming up. I got nothing. So I was standing watching essentially Rafe's rather brilliant one-man show in the courtyard. It was challenging also.
Great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. We've got a question over here. Microphone number 2 on the left.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I've got a question for Rafe, and it's when you auditioned for Harry Potter, if you didn't get Voldemort, would you have liked to be anyone else?
Well, I didn't audition. I was offered the part.
Just say it. Just say it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lily.
We've got a question up here at the top on the right, number 3. Hi there.
Hi guys, I'm Dave. As a fellow actor, my favourite part of the whole performance sort of structure is the rehearsal period, kind of exploring how characters, what you're bringing to the table, bounces off what other actors are bringing to the table. What's your favourite part of being an actor or the performance process?
Yeah, I mean rehearsals, because you don't have to. Well, you're safe. you can do it. No one's looking at you. Then, yeah, the moment of truth is either on film in front of the camera, when the camera's rolling. No, on film. I think it's the first time you put your toe in the water on a new scene, and you're testing stuff out. And if you're supported by a good director who's encouraging you and nurturing you with the other, if the creative energy is good, that's for me the most rewarding time. The first few takes when you're sort of exploring what it is. I know there are directors who famously go for lots and lots of takes. There's always a sort of, for every actor I think it's different. There's a point where you kind of plateau, and you after maybe 5 or 6 you go. Every scene is different, but I think the first time you're trying something out is always quite exciting because it's new.
I mean, for stage work, well, I think I was drawn to be an actor, actually. When I was at college, I got into audition for a play, and suddenly I was in this room with people, and we were discussing the real things in life, the building blocks of human behavior. What makes us scared, jealous, nervous, confident, rude? What makes us racist? What makes us, what makes us people? What are the building blocks? What are all the inner forces? What's the 9/10 of the iceberg? I love that in rehearsal. I don't like rehearsing for film because, like Rafe said, the first time you do something, if you're cast right and the script's right, you want something magical and spontaneous to happen in front of the camera. You don't want it to happen in rehearsal or in the trailer. You want it to happen and continue to happen if possible. But one of my favorite bits of filming, not when it comes to playing wizards, is that you get access to shadow people. So I've shadowed politicians, priests, heart surgeons, drug dealers, all kinds of strange criminal or establishment figures and army people, and they tell you things they wouldn't tell their closest friends or family because you're acting, you're not playing them necessarily, and they've always wanted to tell you. It's like you're their therapist. And I've loved doing ride-alongs with cops or spending time with prisoners and things like that. I find fascinating. It may not find its way onto the screen, but it's a privilege that most people don't get.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great advice. Wishing you success in your acting career, sir.
Good luck. We'll see you on set.
We've got a question up here on the left. Microphone number 4.
Hi. So as you know, you're obviously Slytherin, but do you feel like you're a different house of Harry Potter?
Oh no, I'm a Slytherin. yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really see the point of the other houses. I mean, you've got to have someone to hate, so there's Gryffindor. But the yellow one and the blue one, which I refuse to name, they're just points.
That was a quick answer.
It's like filler.
Filler houses. You're sticking with Slytherin, Ray?
Of course, I'm sticking with Slytherin. Yeah.
Great question, thank you. We'll go back to, oh no, it's a Gryffindor, right over here. Microphone number 1, tread carefully.
Hi, I'm Josh, and my question is, if you could have a magical pet of any sort, what would it be?
A magical pet of any sort. I mean, I loved a mongoose. I love Rikki Tikki Tavi, the Kipling story. Always fancied a mongoose. I don't mean fancy the mongoose, I mean...
I'd like a wolf.
I know that's not what you're looking for, or anything like that, but that's all we've got, so...
I didn't have mongoose on my bingo card. That was a surprising one. We've got a question over here, number 2. Hi there.
Hi, so this question's for Jason. I love Harry Potter, but I'm also a big Star Wars fan, and I love your voice work in Star Wars Rebels as Grand Inquisitor. I just wondered, what was it like to work on that show? Because Vanessa Marshall and Steve Bloom joked how you're a big golf fan, and in between recordings, you would go into this mini golf set outside of the outside the recording studio, and yeah, just what was it like to work on the show?
So the thing is, I love voice work because you get cast as things that you don't look like, and you can get up late, food all down your front, all that stuff. But I can do things with my voice. So I grew up talking like that in Liverpool, and I moved to London when I was 11, and so I've had lots of accents in my life, lots of them, and I get to try them out in voice work in ways that I don't on camera, and I can play old people, young people. So, but I've done lots of animated movies and games and stuff, and you never meet the other people. So even on I was big budget. I was in a Pixar film. I played dastardly in the Scooby-Doo film. I never met the other people. I was in comedy scenes with them. It's ludicrous. But when we did Star Wars Rebels, we were all in the studio together. It's like doing a play for Radio 4. And I remember that being lovely. And yes, there was a putting machine, and I did fuck up many takes by putting. But they let me, so that was fine. But I do remember that it was such a different energy. You get a different energy from other actors. And recording solo seems a bizarre way to make animated movies, but I continue to do it.
Thank you, great question. A lot of Star Wars fans here in Liverpool, myself included. We have a question, microphone number 3 up at the top on the right.
Oh, hi there, thank you very much for coming. I just wondered, obviously you're part of the Harry Potter world and you've been in a lot of other films, so I wondered for the both of you, what is your biggest kind of proudest moment in your career?
Apart from this.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't get proud. I think it's a weird feeling. It's a danger for an actor. In fact, one of the things I love about coming to conventions is that people come up to the table and sometimes they're intimidated, or I feel from them that they feel that because they've seen me on telly or in a film that I'm somehow more important, or I take up more important space. And I'm just an idiot who wears funny clothes, and tells stories. We're storytellers. And so I never think I was good in a film. Sometimes I'm proud of films. I was in a film called Mass, which very few people have seen, which won a whole bunch of awards in thanks for that. I must remember to bring a bucket of fish for the dolphin up there next time. But it's a beautiful film about the power of forgiveness, and when you carry hatred in your heart, that it will only poison you. And so I'm proud of the stories I get to tell, but I never get proud of myself. I think that way madness lies, and you stop being good at your job.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you get older, you just value working with great people, and not just actors, but directors, writers, people working in the art department. And I think as I've got older, I think when I was younger, I took it a bit for granted. I mean, I had great film opportunities that came, and it was great. And I think you just suddenly see, my God, it's very hard to make certainly independent films, and cinema is really challenged now. So I just feel a sense of gratitude in a way that I can be part of any of these worlds. I mean, I couldn't choose out one film. I mean, I loved in Skyfall. I got to act with Judi Dench, who is a great actor and was an iconic M. And that was, if you ask about plucking a memory out of the air, working with her in that film was great. But the Bond franchise was created by people doing wonderful, wonderful work. The design work is incredible. You go on these sets and you think the thought and the skill and the engineering that's gone into these sets. So I'm just feeling more and more how this is so great.
Thank you, great.
Thank you.
Great questions so far, everyone. We'll take a question from number 4 up on the top left. Hi there.
Hi. I just wanted to. This question is for both of you. Do you prefer playing bad guys or good guys?
That's a great question, actually, because the two characters we play in Harry Potter are very different. But I try only to take jobs in stories and scripts where I recognise a human being. And so Lucias Malfoy, J.K. Rowling's writing is so good, and the adaptations, the directors are good enough. That they wanted to create rounded human beings, and I saw a guy on the page who was not that different from the Tommy Robinson's lot, the racist mobs that rampage around Britain, or the mob in Amsterdam yesterday that chased down Jewish football supporters. I saw people I see in the news every day. I saw intolerance and hatred and fear, and someone who thinks by turning the clock back maybe to their colonial past, they can somehow regain power. And I recognized a human being. I try not to take parts when they're one-dimensional, when they're moustache twirling, because I don't think the audience is bothered by them. I don't think they hate them. I don't think they're scared of them. I think we're scared when we recognise maybe even behaviours buried deep inside us. Lucias is a bully. I've been bullied a lot in my life. I wonder if I have maybe even been a bully occasionally. And I recognise that in him. You know, I'm not a big fan of the gentleman that just got, not gentleman, he just got elected in America. I think he's an awful human being. But he looks in the mirror every day. No. I wasn't trying to make a cheap political point. I think he's a monster and terrible for the world in many ways. But he doesn't think that. He looks in the mirror and thinks he's a saviour. And he can absolutely justify everything he does and thinks. I think his views, moral universe is a vacuum. And he's despicable. But he doesn't lick his chops and go, no, I can go and do something bad. He thinks he's right. So I try and take parts. And I think it's true in our film. I believe that Lucias believed.
Yeah, I completely agree with Jason that obviously we go and see movies and we talk about who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Well, if you are offered what is clearly on a first reading the bad guy, once you're playing the part, you have to find the human being and in a way put the label away, because he gets up for breakfast, he or she might love their partner, have children, and you have to go into what makes them do the thing they do and let the audience judge. And I remember specifically on Schindler's List, I thought, I've got to put the judgment of this guy to one side. He's a guy who gets up and he believes that what he's doing has a purpose. As disgusting and obscene as it was, that nation was filled with people at that time who believed it was right and good. And you have to go, weird as it may seem, into that headspace. And it's disturbing, but that's our job. We have to, and they are human beings, you know. They have physiological functions. They might be moved by a piece of music. They might get emotional.
But they've also been convinced by some of the stuff we see now on social media that certain sections of society are not like them. They're not human. They're not deserving of human rights. They are subhuman. Once you think people are subhuman, you can do anything to them. And that's, you know, the reason to tell these stories, the reason for Schindler's List being important to remember the Holocaust is not as a memorial thing. It's to go, what are the signs today that people are talking like that? Who are the people we've begun to think of like that, or we're being told to think of like that? And those are the kind of parts we look for.
So well said. Great question. Thank you. We'll go to microphone number 1 here on the right. Hello.
Hello, my name is Sarah and I'm from County Kerry, Ireland, and my question is for the both of you. If you were to take a prop from Harry Potter, what would it be?
Well, I tried. Alan, do you know about this? Alan nicked all the gold from the Gringotts, not real gold, because we're always asked for things to give to charity auctions. Alan took all the coins, and after which they put barcodes on everything. And I had a mate who came to visit one day, and there were these huge piles of the Daily Prophet, thousands of them. And he said, can I have one of those? I said, don't worry, I'll get you one. So I took one and put it in my bag. And at the end of the day, hours and hours later, I took my wig off and stuff, we get in the car, and my friend's coming home with me in the car, and we go all the way out, the studio to the gate, and at the gate, the security guy goes, night, Jason. Producer said, can I have the Daily Prophet back, please? And I went, I don't know what you're talking about. I went, the Daily Prophet, in your bag. Everyone knows you got it. So I didn't get anything. Did you get any stuff?
No, I didn't. I wished that, I think when I first started, there were maybe only 1 or 2 Voldemort wands before they became mass produced. And I wish I'd taken one of those, but I didn't. So, yeah. I should have taken, I had manky teeth that I wore. I probably should have taken those.
But I will say that the Lucius Malfoy wand thing that they make that you can buy is exactly the same as the one they use. So I complained that I didn't even get one, and the studio sent me one very kindly when I was doing publicity, and I lost it. But
Thank you, great question. We have time for one final question over here. Microphone number 2, no pressure. Introduce yourself, how are you?
Hi, my name's Harris. It's weird to see Voldemort with a nose and... so strange.
It's not a real nose he's wearing.
Isn't it? I thought it was awfully big. Sorry. I've got a question for Jason. Question for Jason. So my favourite scene in all of Harry Potter is in the 4th one. At the start, when they're seeing the Quidditch, they're walking up the stairs, and I think Ron says, how far up are we? And Jason goes...
He says what?
Well, he goes... Rupert Grint, he goes, how far up are we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Lucias goes, well, put it this way, if it rains, you'll be the first to know.
Very good impression.
Thank you. So I was just wondering, what is your favourite line that you said? I suppose we can go for Voldemort as well.
Oh,
what about your favourite line?
Both have it. My favourite line was from, I'm afraid lots of people know this, but it's still true. In Chamber of Secrets, my first day on the main set was the last scene that I had with the late, great Richard Harris. And we only got 3 minutes, so I'll tell this very quickly, but and we shot the last bit of the last scene first, because you shoot out of order, they shoot the wide shot first. There's a wide shot of me and Richard just says something like, thank you, Lucias, that'll be all, and dismisses me from the room. And I meant to leave, and Harry's standing there. And I said to Chris Columbus, I went, I don't think he'd leave without, he's a very proud man, he's not going to be dismissed. I feel he should say something. Chris goes, all right, well, say something. I go, well, like what? He goes, I don't know. It's your idea, you say something. Shit, okay, so we went again, we shot again, and I turned to Harry. He said, thank you, Lucias, that'll be all. Maybe you're not filming me, are you? Put that down. I'm talking to you. God's sake. Put it down. I can see you. Anyway, he said, thank you, and I said, I told Daniel, who was about chest high, and I said, let us hope Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day. And without a blink, he went, don't worry, I will be. And I said, my favourite line is not my line, I made up. I just thought, Christ, he's good, isn't he? I was trying to get the last line. My favourite line is that Dan, at 12, was right on it and came out with a line. It's his line.
Do you have a favourite line in the film?
My favourite line is probably Harry Potter. The boy who lived, come to die.
And on a better note than that, but a final question for me, gentlemen. When you leave us here in Liverpool, what are you looking forward to next, be it professionally or personally? What's next for you?
I am going to be running, putting on a short theatre season, the Theatre Royal Bath next summer. So I'm prepping for that, in 2 plays and directing another.
I was quite looking forward to dinner. And then I was going to get in the car, I was going to go and see where I grew up in Chilwell, and then see if my old school is still there. But then after that, I'm on a plane on Monday morning, going to Montreal. My daughter has just directed her 2nd play at college, and I'm looking forward to watching her play next week. But professionally,
Nothing happening.
I'm never going to work again. I've got some stuff coming out, I know, I'm shooting something at the moment. Is that what it is? Totally forgot. Sorry, no. I'm filming the entirely made-up adventures of Dick Turpin. Anyone seen that? No? I'll tell them, they'll be very upset. It's a big series on Apple anyway. Noel Fielding written this thing. It's very, very silly, and I'm filming that as well.
Well, I just have to say, this was an honor for me. I've been telling them all day how much I was going to fangirl. I think I did okay, but I'm still fangirling you guys. It's been a group effort. They love you. Liverpool loves you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for Jason Isaacs and Ralph Fiennes. I'm going to stand up, and we're going to do a little selfie, if that's okay, gentlemen. We're going to take a little photo of everyone here in Liverpool.